Hi everyone, my name is Jackie Wilson. I'm one of the co-founders of Positively Empowered Kids, bringing to you today another amazing interview from the incredible Hannah Fox. And she has a passion, just like me, on introducing mindfulness to children. So I'm really excited to bring you this interview, and Hannah's going to tell you a little bit more about herself and her passion. Hi Hannah.
Hi Jackie, thank you. So yeah, I'm Hannah and I'm a youth mindfulness practitioner and essentially just have a massive passion for supporting the well-being of children. So I studied psychology in my undergraduate degree, and since then I've worked with children in a variety of different settings, some schools, special needs schools, residential care homes, isolation units, the lot, and have sort of used my mindfulness skills and my education and my passion for supporting children to start up my own company called Mindfulness with Miss Fox. And we produce workshops. We go into schools and produce mindfulness workshops for children. I've just set up a YouTube channel, so do go and check that out. I'm producing free mindfulness YouTube videos for primary school age children to support them in this rather uncertain time during lockdown, so check those out. And yeah, we're on Instagram and Facebook a lot, but it's been great fun to start all this out.
Yeah, it has. I mean, obviously I've kind of known you for a little while, and I know you do some great work in school. And then the other day, just happened to see, as you were putting it out there, one of your first videos of your puppy yoga and mindfulness. It was so cute, so beautiful, and you have such a great way. Tell us more about how you kind of got into doing all this, and why you're so passionate about mindfulness with children.
Yeah, so I started practicing mindfulness myself about 7 years ago. I think around 17, and when you're a teenager, I think you're exposed to so many influences, and it's quite a hard time. And I remember just doing like 10 minutes a day, or however much I did, and just really seeing the benefit of creating some stillness into my own personal life. And I guess that's where it started, really. And then when I studied for my psychology degree, in my final year, I did a dissertation, which is a year-long project on how mindfulness can influence cognitive function and anxiety. So I basically did an experiment and found that just 7 days of sort of one-time practice, so 7 practices of mindfulness, can reduce a student's anxiety significantly. So this kind of fueled my interest, because I'd combined my personal experience of practicing mindfulness with kind of an academic side with the research. And there's so much research now on the impact of mindfulness for children and adults. And then from that place, I thought, right, I want to train to become a proper youth mindfulness practitioner, and which I did, and then sort of started to combine my experience and what I've learned academically and what I've learned knowing children, and sort of brought it into an education setting, primarily for primary school children. And I think the key in these is to make it fun and engaging, because these skills are skills that the children will learn and hold on to for the rest of their life. And we know at the moment how mental health problems are ripe. Unfortunately, so many children are being diagnosed with mental health problems, and mindfulness is both a preventative way of sort of preventing mental health, and also as a treatment, it's more of a holistic treatment to help children that are suffering with anxiety or depression or low self-esteem. I've worked with children with lots of different sort of internal mental health problems, and just seen amazing results. So I'm super passionate about it.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. I think if I was to say that, you know, there'll be some parents watching this that really don't know how on earth their child could sit still for a moment and experience the power of mindfulness, what would you say to them? Because I know the power of it, I know it works. So can we share that a little bit? I think it would be really helpful for parents to know how children can come into that space of creating some stillness and just being in that present moment, which, like you say, it's incredibly powerful to deal with building our minds, growing our minds to be healthy and to be able to thrive more strongly, be more resilient, and to be able to navigate those emotions that we experience so often.
Yeah, so I guess mindfulness is a really big word. Maybe it'd be helpful just to explain what it is if there's parents that aren't sure. But basically, mindfulness is just a process of training our mind to pay attention to the present moment. So what's going on around us and what's going on inside of us, our feelings, our emotions. And I totally get that. I mean, I've got friends and family with young children, and you know, it's so hard for them to sit down for 5 minutes unless they've got a screen in front of them, maybe. But mindfulness isn't all about sitting down and sort of being still. I think that is an assumption that's not necessarily true. And so I guess what I try and teach is that we can become mindful in engaging ways as well. So on my YouTube channel, we've got mindfulness activities of eating. That's the one I produced yesterday. Mindfulness with all the senses, essentially: eating, smelling, seeing, exploring different touch and feelings. So I guess I just want to encourage parents that mindfulness doesn't have to be sitting down for 15 minutes and not thinking. Actually, mindfulness is teaching children, okay, what's going on right now? Can we put our super mindful glasses on and pay attention to everything that's going on in the room? Or what can we feel on our skin right now? Or what can we smell? Or when you're having dinner in the evening, can we see if we can taste all of the, you know, textures and the tastes and of the food? Because often we just wolf down a meal, don't we? And it's so easy just to like talk and eat or watch TV, and actually, do we pay attention to what we're experiencing? So I think I'm really passionate about bringing mindfulness to young children and families in really a fun and engaging way. And gradually, I mean, the more you practice anything, the easier it becomes. So when I deliver a workshop for schools, and often they're between 8 and 16 weeks, and we kind of start with sort of a lot of activities, and we gradually incorporate some sitting practice, which is really helpful, because I think when you sit down and you create physical stillness, our mind is able to create some stillness as well. And I think it's amazing to create stillness, but it doesn't have to happen overnight. You know, you can just do it for 1 minute or even just 5 breaths. So I teach a thing called high 5 breath. So you get the little high fives, and then you do a deep breath in and out, and in and out. And that gets like 5 deep breaths in quite an easy way for children. And the high 5 breath is an amazing way to help children if they are feeling overwhelmed with emotion, is to get 5 deep breaths into the tummy, into the body, and it helps them to move from a state of being overwhelmed with what's going on to be able to notice, pause, and then react. And breathing is a fantastic way of helping children to sort of process what's going on inside of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting you say the high 5, because there's a tool that we have in our emotions toolkit that we were talking about just before this, that is the same thing as you've just been talking about. And it's so interesting how much of a shift of energy there is in a child when they do that breathing technique. You know, it's just incredible to witness the calmness that comes over them. So I completely understand. Just simple breathing techniques, they're distracting a part of our brain and bringing our nervous system into a state of calm. And you can make these breathing techniques really fun. You know, we've got quite a lot in our emotions toolkit that actually is yoga and mindfulness tools, but actually giving them that in the moment strategy to manage and build the pathways in the brain to be more able to self-regulate, and that comes through being able to be more mindful and self-aware of our own experiences. So absolutely agree with you on that. I think that's wonderful. So if you were to, you know, obviously there's a lot of I know you talked about this earlier, there's a lot of children at the moment and parents experiencing a lot of emotion with this uncertainty that we're going through at this time. What would your kind of introduction to mindfulness or your top tips be to parents who maybe want to explore this a little more with their children or for themselves?
Yeah, I think the first thing that always comes to me is just be kind to yourself. I think we live in a world where there's so much comparison and trying to be the best version of yourself and always trying to strive high. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I think that's helpful to some extent, but I think we can put so much pressure on ourselves to always feeling a certain way, to being an amazing mum and striving and, you know, reaching all these goals. But in times like this and in everyday life, one of the things that I always want to communicate to parents and to children is be kind to yourself, because if you can't be kind to yourself, then you're just going to be really hard on yourself, and it's not helpful. And I think mindfulness is essentially becoming aware of how we're feeling and holding a space of acceptance of how we're feeling. You're going to have days where you feel a bit down and you don't know why you're feeling a bit down, or days where you feel a little bit anxious, and days where you feel full of joy. And mindfulness is essentially just allowing us to become aware of how we're feeling, to be kind to ourselves, to be kind to other people. And it's that increases mental health. It's that acceptance and non-judgmental awareness in mindfulness that I think is one of the key things in improving mental health, and is so important in this time today, particularly, you know, when all the children are at home because they're not in school, and there's a lot of pressure for them to sort of still learn and be entertained. And I think parents just, you know, number one tip is be kind to yourself.
Love it, absolutely love it. In terms of your YouTube videos that we talked about again earlier, you include, I know you talked about lots of different ways to bring mindfulness into your lives, but your videos are very active, so you've incorporated yoga and mindfulness into that, so it becomes a movement-based activity, so children can experience getting connected with their bodies and becoming mindful at the same time. So people can find that quite easily on YouTube. And is what's the name of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, sure. So YouTube, you just type in mindfulness with Miss Fox. So I'm Miss Fox. This is Mindful Bear. He features a lot in the video. Our life-size bear, and mentioned earlier my little puppy Daisy. So yeah, just find us on YouTube. And as you mentioned, we sort of, in my YouTube videos, I try and include some mindful movement to get them out, like to get them active, to sort of let out any excess energy, some mindful breathing techniques, which, as we said, are just amazing for the nervous system, for calming the mind. And then at the moment, we're doing a series on the senses. So we've done smelling, tasting, seeing, and hearing. So yeah, there's a complete variety of videos on that channel, and also on Instagram as well. I sort of try and focus my Instagram more for the parents, so do follow that. Again, it's Mindfulness with Miss Fox on Instagram and on Facebook. That's
brilliant. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. It's I just love that what you're creating, because obviously you've had to kind of change with the times, because you were working in schools. Yeah. And like me, you're coming into a place where we're having to rethink of how we do things. And the beauty of that is the action you took is to create online material for families to be able to access, which is incredible, and very kind of you to do that for everybody. So please go and visit Hannah's pages, find her, have a go with your children, get them joining in. It's fun. I absolutely could watch that. I mean, I've only watched one so far because I haven't had a chance, but the puppy one I could watch over and over again. You have a very clever puppy.
Yeah. And I would just like to say also, if there's any schools watching this, I do deliver workshops in schools and private one-to-ones. And also at the moment, because we're not in schools, I'm offering Zoom mindfulness sessions with children. And if you want to contact me via email, do get in touch. It's mindfulnesswithmissfox@outlook.com, and I'd love to hear from you.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Hannah. Take care.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.